So you've just come from visiting the camps. Uganda is hosting 1.27 million refugees, and almost 950 of those are from South Sudan. What impressions do you make of the camps that you've just seen?
I think a double impression. First of all, I'm shocked with the tragedy of the South Sudanese people. I was exactly in the same area 12 years ago when I started my functions as High Commissioner for Refugees. 3 days after I started, I came to Uganda, to the same area, to celebrate World Refugee Day with the refugees, the South Sudanese refugees. And they were very happy because the comprehensive peace agreement was being established and they were hoping to go back home. And indeed, 500,000 South Sudanese refugees went back home with the support of UNHCR, which I was responsible at the time. And I myself accompanied one of these convoys and went to a South Sudanese village and saw the joy of people meeting the family, restarting their bonds with the community. Now you can imagine the shock to see this very same population 12 years afterwards having fled the country that 6 years after independence has caused tremendous suffering to its own people. So that is the first impression, an impression of shock, of deep emotions, being sorry for the South Sudanese people. But then an enormous gratitude and admiration to the government and the people of Uganda. Because Uganda, in a world where so many doors are closed, so many borders are closed, Uganda opened its borders, the doors of its houses, the hearts of its people, provided these refugees with protection, with security, and at the same time the communities shared the land, shared the schools, shared the health centers. Today I had several members of the community say they are our brothers and sisters, we welcome them. This is extremely beautiful, and this is a lesson that others should learn, especially in the developed world, where we see so many examples of egoism.
This community that has been very receptive has also had to suffer the fact that new populations have come in that exert strain on health and social services like education, and I'm sure you might have seen some of these. What will the UN do more to help the host communities be more receptive in terms of social services for health and education?
Well, that's why I'm here. That's why we have tomorrow the summit. We are, together with the President and the government of Uganda, strongly appealing to the international community to assume its share of responsibility and to be able to support Uganda, not only in humanitarian aid to the refugees, but in structural development aid to the communities, improving its educational system, its health system, infrastructure, roads. I mean, the fact that we have to bring food and lots of other things to some remote areas in roads that are not paved is causing damage necessary to the infrastructure. So it's the duty of the international community to show the same solidarity that Uganda people has shown in relation to the refugees, to show that solidarity with the Uganda people in this moment, and that means a massive investment in support to Uganda, and we will do everything possible to mobilize the international community and to make people understand that this is not a matter of generosity, this is a duty. Because this is not only a responsibility of Uganda, it's a responsibility of the whole world.
Many of the people that are watching the Refugee Summit are asking themselves, when will peace arrive in South Sudan? And you yourself, you said you were here when the Comprehensive Peace Agreement was signed. It was since violated, and many other agreements have since been signed. The transitional government came in, and that also had violations in it. When will peace arrive in South Sudan, and what is the UN doing to ensure that that peace arrives very fast to stop the influx of refugees?
The UN is working closely with the African Union and with IGAD, the regional organization. There was an IGAD summit just a few days ago. We fully support the conclusions of the IGAD. Our team in South Sudan is also doing its best to support the mediation of the African Union and the work of IGAD. And it's time for the leaders of South Sudan to understand that they need to put a stop to this conflict. I sincerely believe that the leaders of South Sudan do not deserve the people they have. The people that is an extraordinary people that has suffered so much. Nothing can justify that this war goes on. It's time for those that have a responsibility in South Sudan, government or opposition, to understand that this war must stop, this suffering must stop. It is unacceptable to see people suffering in such a terrible way.
Of the refugees that we have in Uganda from South Sudan, 59% of them are young people. they have young dreams, they have aspirations on where they want to go, and they're watching this Solidarity Summit and watching the UN and asking, what are you doing to make them achieve the hopes and dreams that they had before they fled from South Sudan?
Well, the first priority in relation to young people is education. And I could see that generously Uganda has allowed these refugees to go to the same schools as the Ugandan children. But of course, those schools are overcrowded. And so a massive investment is necessary to amplify the capacity to have an education with equality for both Ugandese and South Sudanese. And this requires very important investments. And this is one of the most important reasons for this summit to take place. And we are putting education as a clear priority in our advocacy in favor of international solidarity with Uganda and with the South Sudanese refugees. But of course, education is not enough. What we want is for people to be able to fully live a normal life. And for that we need peace in South Sudan, and we need these people to be able to go back home and there to have the opportunities that we all want to our own children.
What image sticks with you coming from Uganda? What's that one image that you're going to take back?
Well, I would like to see in New York the same spirit of generosity, the same spirit of solidarity. And I would like to see all countries in the world, especially the most developed countries, the richest ones, show the same capacity to understand the suffering of other people and to consider the South Sudanese also as their brothers and sisters, as it is the case in Uganda. Last year, we had South Sudanese coming into Uganda in a number that is 3 times the number of people that crossed the central Mediterranean from Northern Africa into Europe. And we know how much this has disturbed even the European political life. So I think it's important for others to learn the example of Uganda and to follow the example of Uganda. And right. I hope that in New York I will be able to clearly advocate for that.
All right, Mr. Guterres, thank you for speaking to us. We are glad to have you.
Thank you very much.